7 of the most controversial horror games? Let's go. Imagine a game so disturbing that even Satan would cry. That game would be Sad Satan. The story behind this game all goes back to a YouTube channel called Obscure Horror Corner and a man called Jamie. On June 25th, 2015, a video called Sad Satan Deep Web Horror Game Part 1 was uploaded to YouTube, with 4 uploads to follow. In the videos, we get a look at the game as it is. No commentary, no music, just an eerie game. The game is essentially just you walking, while creepy noises and images appear. Some of the more notable images are of Franz Joseph Maximilian Maria Anoyos Ignatius Lamoral. Try saying that 5 times fast. Hell, just try saying it once. This jabroni was the 9th prince of Thernataxis. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but I'm going with it. Now ladies, don't get too excited. He wasn't an actual prince. He was just a part of some German noble family. But in the image that the game uses, he is not behaving very Fresh Prince. He is standing atop of a staircase, surrounded by antlers, giving him this very menacing aura around him. Other images include murdered soccer player Andreas Escobar, sex offenders Rolf Harris and Jimmy Savile, and the Japanese serial killer known as the Otaku Killer. Other interesting ones are of Baphomet, a group of druids at Stonehenge, and Lady Liberty without her blindfold. There are also plenty of other images that appear as well. But while these images show up, there are also a ton of very disturbing clips that play, some of which are copyright music, like Stairway to Heaven, but played in reverse, which has its own dark theories surrounding it and how it secretly worships Satan. Now obviously, I can't play any of those clips, but I can play these. But probably one of the more disturbing things that you can experience is the little girl that shows up and does this. So the game is weird, dark, edgy, and disturbing, showing and alluding to murderers, child abusers, and much worse. You might be thinking, yeah, that's all bad, but I've definitely seen worse. And you would be right. The original Sad Satan, the one you see in the YouTube video, is not in the air quotes. Oh, I think I was supposed to, is not the true version. The true version, or also known as the clone, is actually much worse. The original version, which is the one you see in the YouTube video, is believed to have been created by Jamie, the same person who uploaded it. Jamie claimed that he got the game from someone called ZK. And not too long after the videos started to come out on YouTube, someone on 4chan claiming to be ZK uploaded the true version of Sad Satan. When people downloaded the true version of Sad Satan, they were in for a shock. Not only did it contain gore and very graphic images, it also contained COD points. No, I'm not talking about the video game. Just take the first letter of each of those words, and then I think you can figure it out from there. It involves little kids. Yeah, you know what that is. Now, thankfully, someone other than me on the Sad Satan Reddit explained what the images found in the true version are. because I sure as hell am not going looking for those at all. G1 was said to be an image of a child who fell under a truck. G2 and 3 are murder victims of the torso killer. G4 is apparently the image that can be found in the background of Kekma.net, which is a shock and gore site that you should totally not visit, like ever. And G5 is COD points. Yep. And to top it all off, if giving you a downloadable felony wasn't enough, the game also contained malware. Because why not? Now, there are tons of theories about this game's creation. It's widely believed that Jamie created the original and uploaded it, and the person claiming to be ZK modded it and uploaded the clone or the true version to 4chan. It's also theorized that ZK is a man called Gary Graves, who was arrested for COD points in 2017. Now, a lot of people seem to think that Jamie is ZK, aka Gary, but from what I can tell, Jamie has had tweets talking about the UK, and Gary is from Texas, and he probably wouldn't care too much about what goes on over there. But the whole game is still a mystery. We can only speculate on its true origins. What started off as a pretty cool ARG talking about the horrors of humanity quickly turned into one of gaming's worst creations. Harvestor is a 1990s point-and-click horror game that has developed a cult-like following, being banned in Germany, which isn't really saying much, they ban a lot of games, and being called goriest, most confusing, and above all, stupidest horror game ever by PC Gamer. But I mean, who gives a shit what PC Gamer has to say anyway, so that's just irrelevant. Harvestor takes place in the 1950s in the town of Harvest in Texas. You play as Steve Mason.
Well, you always were a kidder, Steve.
Who awakens in the town without any memory of what happened before. You then proceed to get mixed up with a cult called the Order of the Harvest Moon, who gives you tasks that get more and more violent, all in order to get answers as to why you're there. The game uses full motion video with actual actors, so you're playing and interacting with footage of real people. And you combine that with the children deaths, sexual acts, cannibalism, and enough cheesiness to make a pizza, you can see why people would be up in arms over this.
Hello, Steve. Where's Loomis?
You'll be coming around the mountain if you come. Oh, that's it.
Loomis, damn you!
Wait, no.
You pervert!
No!
Straining up the mattress again! Folding up the towels! Charming the snake!
But that's not what makes it controversial. The game is generally loved and considered a great old school horror game. Sure, it has its problems here and there, mainly the fact that even with a guide, the game can be too difficult at times, but people that have played it usually give it praise for being a fun and entertaining game. The thing that makes it rather infamous was that the main character, Steve, or more accurately, the actor that played Steve, not the voice actor, the actual dude like you play as in the game, not the voice actor, I don't want to get those two confused. The actor that motioned for Steve is Kurt Kister, and he just so happens to be a Minecraft YouTuber. Oh, hang on, no, I read that wrong, sorry, hang on. A PDF file. In 2010, Kurt was arrested for possession of COD points. And in his mugshot, he's wearing the same damn flannel shirt as his character Steve. Well, not like the exact same one, but it's close enough. And side note, who the fuck was still rocking flannels back in 2010? Anyway, the fact that the main character, the guy you literally see and play as, was a PDF file and caught wearing an almost identical shirt really didn't sit right with a lot of people, and made a lot of people second guess even replaying it or even if they should like it. Now, I'm not here to tell you if you should like it or hate it. The game's a goofy horror game that's very memorable to those who played it. And because one guy in a flannel wants to touch kids, doesn't mean you should pretend to hate it. The game, I mean, not like the touching kids part. You should definitely hate that, but the game, you don't have to pretend you hate it. I just want to make that clear. I just can't get over that. This guy got arrested looking exactly like his in-game character.
You always were a diddler, Steve.
What should have been a game to break new grounds in technology ended up being one of the reasons for the ESRB, or the Entertainment Software Rating Board, which we still use today. Published by Sega for the Sega CD in 1992, Night Trap, very similar to Harvestor, also uses full motion video, but it is instead considered an interactive movie. Originally, it was made in 1987 and was set to launch with the Nemo, or the Controlled Vision, which was an unreleased game console by Hasbro. It was to be released with a game called Sewer Shark. Ironically, like the name, it kind of sounds like a dumb game, but it was one of Sega CD's best-selling games. Now, after the cancellation, these two games were shelved, until Sega eventually picked them up and released them in 1992. Now, the story of this game is just straight dumb, like B-movie horror type dumb. The story of Night Trap is all about you, an agent of SCAT. Yeah, they named it that. But that stands for Sega Controlled Attack Team, or Special Control Attack Team, depending on which version you're playing on. You are sent in to investigate the Martin estate, where multiple girls have gone missing. You end up hacking into the estate's control system, and are able to monitor cameras and control traps. No, not those kind. 5 more girls are eventually sent to the estate, with one of them being a SCAT agent undercover. Now you, as a SCAT agent, must protect these girls from vampires.
Oh my god, Hamlet! I just saw a fucking vampire!
Which the Martin family are. And from this point on out, the horn level acting and absurdness begins.
Party! Music!
Radio silence till I get back.
A closet trap!
But it was going to be a surprise.
Thanks. Come on, you guys, you gotta help me. Please use the traps. Now!
The wall trap!
Yeah! Help me, please. You're the only one that can save me.
The game, if you can even call it that, is just what you think it is. It's
Cheese.
gameplay is often called boring and can ruin the story. If you play to win, you miss a lot of the story, as you're too busy looking for vampires and can't stay on one scene for too long. The game was meant to be played multiple times, and to have everything written down for your next playthrough. Or that's at least what people said they did back in the day. The game doesn't feature gore-heavy graphics or overtly sexualized women, but that did not stop the US government from getting all pissy and comparing it to Mortal Kombat, of all things. In 1993, the United States Senate Committee held a hearing on video game violence. The hearing was led by Joe Lieberman and Herb Cole. Check their early life on Wikipedia. They claimed that Night Trap featured gratuitous violence and promoted sexual aggression against women. One scene that they especially hated was the nightgown scene, where they claimed it promoted violence towards women. Now, I want you to watch this scene and tell me if the violence against women is in the room with us right now.
Megan, this isn't gonna work. You're not scaring me. Wait. What are you doing? No! Leave me alone!
Now, producers and cast responded to these claims by saying the point of the game was to save the women, not hurt them, and that they wanted the blood-sucking device to look as unrealistic as possible. Nintendo also didn't help the game at all by saying it would never appear on a Nintendo system, as it didn't pass its guidelines. This was just Nintendo trying to get a one-up on Sega. After the hearings, retailers sold 50,000 copies of Night Trap, until it was eventually removed from the shelves of Toys R Us and KB Toys, even though Mortal Kombat was still available. So it seems like they just had a really personal grudge against this one game. In 1994, Sega removed Night Trap from the marketplace, eventually releasing a censored version. I don't know how you could censor that game anymore, but they did. But because of these hearings, the ESRB was created in 1994, all because of some cheesy horror game and Mortal Kombat. Now, Night Trap is often remembered for the controversy surrounding it, but it still does have a small following that actually liked it for what it was. A game so bad that it was good. Hotel 626 and its sister game, Asylum 626, were nothing more than ads for Doritos of all things. Back in 2008, Doritos had plans to bring back 2 flavors. And what better way to market something around Halloween than by making a game to help advertise? Hotel 626 released on Halloween of 2008 and was a browser game released by Strong Snack Studios, aka Doritos. The game had you in a haunted hotel trying to escape a variety of enemies. But the interesting part was, the game could only be played between the hours of 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Hence the name, 626. But that's not all. You could give the game access to your camera and mic to add more to the experience. You would use your own mic to help solve a variety of problems, such as singing a crying demon baby to sleep. Your camera would also be used to take an image of you while you shower. While you play, you'd get jump scared and the game would take an image, adding it to the hotel's guest book, which you could eventually view. The games would also post to your Facebook and Twitter saying insert generic white person name desperately needs help, followed by a link. And the cherry on top, if you gave the game your phone number, you would receive calls trying to help you escape.
If you want to get out here alive, do exactly as I say. There isn't that much time. Quick, head down the hallway.
Go to hallway. It's faster. It's faster. Okay, then where?
Go left.
Go left. Left? Yeah. Okay, right. Why you gotta say it all creepy?
Quick, turn right.
Turn right. Takot. Ako. Ayun. Where?
Trust me, turn left.
Okay.
This is the only way out.
And if you finally escaped, you would receive this call telling you that there is no escape. Now, if all that sounds awesome, you'd be correct because it absolutely is. But why is it controversial? Well, even though the majority of people loved the game, there were some that still thought it went too far, with it violating a lot of people's personal privacy and collecting their data unknowingly to promote their product. There were even multiple complaints filed with the FTC over this. They stated that PepsiCo was involved with deceptive marketing techniques. They claimed that they were disguising its marketing efforts as entertaining video games, concerts, and other immersive experiences, making it more difficult for teens to recognize such content as advertising. They also said that they were claiming to protect teen privacy while collecting a wide range of personal information without meaningful notice and consent. And they also said that they were using viral marketing techniques that violate the FTC's endorsement guidelines. These games would eventually be shut down in 2011. The widely believed reason was because the advertisement was over. It wasn't meant to last forever, only to help promote its product. And once the job was done, the games disappeared. I personally believe they just didn't want the hassle over lawsuits, and didn't really think these games were worth it in the end. The marketing was over. Why go through all the extra trouble? The games and their full version are now considered lost media. Torrents can be found if you look hard enough, but it's just not the same. Even though this was all one big marketing stunt, and they maybe stepped out of line a couple times, they still created one of the best horror game experiences to date. A game that would have fallen into obscurity is now worth hundreds to thousands of dollars. all because of one little lie. Rule of Rose is a 2006 horror game set in Britain in the 1930s. Sony wanted a horror game and reached out to Punchline to create one. And the game they created was supposed to be a new type of horror game. The game's main character is Jennifer, who wakes up on a bus after a strange boy gives her a blank storybook, and then just fucks off. She follows him into a decaying orphanage filled with unstable children calling themselves the Red Crayon Aristocrat Club. They kidnap her and take her aboard a massive Zeppelin inhabited by grotesque creatures. Forced into a servant-like lower class, Jennifer must gather valuable items for the aristocrats to stay alive. Along the way, she rescues and befriends a dog named Brown, who was being tied up and tortured by these demon children. As the story unfolds, Jennifer gradually recovers fragmented memories of her childhood and the orphanage. However, everything is filtered through her unreliable perspective, meaning events may be distorted or incomplete. The true story is never fully shown. You have to piece together what really happened from clues, hints, and environmental details. Now, there are some dark themes and events that do happen in the game, such as the implied sexual assault of a teenage girl, murder-suicide of children, and more aspects like that. And if these are done right, they can make for a very meaningful and emotional story that really makes you think. And done right is exactly what this game did. It's generally praised for its storytelling, calling it a beautiful dark piece of art. Sadly, its gameplay is anything but. The gameplay is said to be the worst part of the game, and that it's so bad, it can really hinder the story. Now, none of that seems bad. A good story with dark themes and bad gameplay. Why on earth would that be controversial? That would be because it was banned in multiple countries and called to be banned in others. It all started when Atlas announced that they would be publishing the game in America and not Sony. Sony claimed that the game wasn't in sync with their corporate image, despite them releasing it in Japan. They would go on to say that the game would need to be a bit tamer if it were to have the Sony name in the US. Again, they released it in Japan. And because of this, rumors arose that the game included violence to children, and this led to an Italian newspaper called Panorama to release an article in November of 2006, claiming the game had scenes of children being buried alive underground, in-game sadomasochism, and underage eroticism. Now, the game, mind you, has already been rated for release, with it being labeled R15 in Japan, R16 in Europe, and R17 in North America. So all of these claims were just not true. But that did not stop the European Union leader Franco Frattini from calling the game obscene cruelty and brutality. Before the game was even released, France and Poland were calling for the game to be banned, and the UK, Australia, and New Zealand cancelled the game's release. The game would go on to release everywhere else, being loved by fans, but being called mid by reviewers. Nowadays, the game has a cult-like following, and copies can range from hundreds to thousands of dollars online, and it's often seen as one of the holy grails by collectors. Law & Order Double or Nothing was a 2003 game based on the TV show Law & Order. In today's day and age, Law & Order isn't as popular as it once was. The show reached its peak in 2001, so it would make sense that they would try to capitalize on that with a couple games. One of those being Double or Nothing, the follow-up to Dead on the Money. Alright, you gotta look at the cover art for these games. It looks like a Vietnamese cookbook that hasn't been checked out of the public library since like 1982. The game story. It's all about trying to solve the murder of some scientist nerd. You go Batman mode, minus the whole sending, innocent grunts to the hospital, and investigate and collect evidence. Now, none of that seems bad, right? Pretty reasonable. Well, the controversy comes from one single image used. In the game, there is a background image that's used to depict a child abduction. And someone made the executive decision to use an actual real image of a real child abduction. One that has a real and dark background to it. The image they used was a CCTV screenshot of James Bulger being kidnapped and led away by his killers. If you don't know the history of James Bulger, it's really sad, and it makes you lose a lot of faith in humanity. On February 12th of 1993, James, who was 2 years old, was led away by two 10-year-old boys and tortured and murdered by them. The kidnapping was caught on CCTV, and thus you have this infamous image. Now, in the game, this image would mainly go unnoticed until 2007, when, once discovered, would be taken off the shelves and a patch would be put into place to get rid of the image. The developer Legacy Interactive had this to say. Obviously, the game was out almost 5 years ago, and this is the first time we knew anything about it. Otherwise, we never would have put it out. We are sorry and didn't mean to hurt anybody. We will remove the picture and can only apologize to the family. As much as I want to hate on the company for doing this, it seems that the reason for it being in there could have just been a really dumb mistake by someone. The crime happened in the UK, and the developer Legacy Interactive is an American company, and the Bulger case wasn't as big in the US as it was in the UK at the time. And this was early internet. So maybe someone just didn't do the research, and picked an image that fit, and didn't know how serious it was. But hang on, this is also the same humanity that has an island for diddling. So maybe someone was that evil and wanted it in there. I really hope not. This was a 2016 indie horror game that has you playing as a drug addict, looking for a little bit of Fent in an abandoned hospital. Now that seems like a pretty cookie cutter horror game. Except for one small fact. In the game, there are images that jump scare you. Oh, my bad, wrong jump scare. These images jump scare you. Except they aren't blurred in the actual game. The images are very gory and real, both of real people being skinned. And from what I found from the cartel, I have no interest in looking any deeper into these images. Gore ain't for me. The game would end up getting played in a video by Markiplier.
Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier and welcome to the hospital. Play! Really interesting mechanic, but they could do without the cheap jump scare, I know that for a fact.
And the gore images would seemingly go unnoticed for a long time. There were some people that did catch on right away to the realness of the images, but to the majority of the audience, they just didn't know. That was until TikTok, of all places, took notice and started attacking Markiplier for showing real gore in a video.
Oh yeah, also there was like this TikTok that blew up. I actually deleted TikTok, so I'm not up to date on all the memes. But this TikTok came out like right when I got back from Korea, so I didn't even see it for a while. But it was talking about this old video that I had on my channel that was about this game called The Hospital, which was a strangely confusing thing for a lot of people because I had just made an update video that was called I'm in the Hospital. So this this video came out on TikTok about this game because apparently it actually had gore in it. Which for some reason I didn't know at the time, but when I went back and looked at it, I was like, oh god, yeah, oh yeah. So I just deleted the video because I don't give a shit about it. Well, I'm not gonna make an apology video like, oh man, 7 years ago, so where's my ukulele? I just can't even, oh man, how could I do such a, it's like, whatever.
He would later go on to take down the video, and the game would also be removed from its host site, GameJolt. The creator has seemingly stayed offline, but I have seen some theories that he is still making games, just under a different name. Now, we have no idea why he used these images in his game. My guess would be to really freak people out. A lot of people would seemingly agree that it was a pretty bad idea to use these photos, but you can still find some people occasionally defending the use of these images. I am not one of those people. I had a very good relationship with my parents, and therefore, I am not a complete sociopath. Or am I? Nah, I'm kidding with you. I'm just an alcoholic.